who's the most complete fighter. But Islam Makhachev, pound for pound, best fighter on earth. When that guy is fighting, when he gets into the cage, this is a peak of performance and training that cannot be maintained, right? He can head kick you. He could strike with you and knock you. Knocked out Glacier T-Bow with one shot standing.
Yeah.
You know, he can knock you out, like, legitimately. When you KO Volkanovski like that, you know, and then you choke out Dustin Poirier like that, like, that's the full thing. Their discipline was, like, second to none. They were like, no girlfriends, no phones, no bullshit, no video games, fuck you, we train. Yeah, you give up something to get something. This is how Islam Makhachev is so good. That's why Khabib is so good. Those guys are disciplined.
There's been moments where we're in practice and I'm going with Khabib or Islam and I'm the big guy. So generally, a smaller guy gets on top of you. When you decide it's over, you just throw him off you. Yep. No technique, no skills. You just literally grab him and you kind of throw him off you. I'm grappling with Islam once and I try to throw him off of me, but he's still there. And so I give him a little harder shove and he's still there. Next thing you know, I'm grappling at 100% because the dude's that strong. But again, I had never really grappled with him in that way, like at a decent pace. So I didn't recognize the strength when he was trying to keep me down.
Islam is huge. And Ilya was talking about fighting him too. You know, the size difference would be so big.
He's too big for 55, and then you see him at 170. Like, how did you ever make 55?
Hunter from the UFC, I was in his office not too long ago, and they keep record of all the weights fight night. And we were talking about the Islam fight when I fought Islam, and he was telling me his weight.
What did he weigh?
192 or something.
The day of the fight?
I think so, yeah. I was 176.
That's great. But it looks like it in the cage.
I looked across under those spotlights, and they had veins in his shoulders and shit. I'm like, fuck, this guy's huge.
Bro.
The stats are 1 submission attempt, 1 submission.
Bro, he's got a crushing squeeze. Well,
it's different, bro.
To that.
It's different. Yeah, he strangled me. And the way he did it, I think Moicano filled in last minute to fight Islam and got caught with the same choke. It's kind of like a Darce choke, but he locks it on his forearm.
Yeah.
He doesn't go to the bicep.
I know.
And the squeeze is different. He's pulling to his chest. It's not like a angle squeeze. It's different. So the defense is different. When I got my legs out and tried to walk around, he hooked my leg, but like the squeeze was completely different. Completely different. You know, you belly down and kind of get some space to breathe. You can't the way he does it.
Craig Jones broke it down.
It's like a front choke, almost like a squeeze to your chest. It's not an angle that you use for a normal Darce choke.
I know. I was shocked the first time I saw him do it. I was like, maybe he just like couldn't cinch up the bicep. And then I saw him do it a second time. I was like, no, this guy's trying to do it that way. He grabs right here, right?
Yeah.
And Craig Jones
pulls
did
to
an
his
awesome
chest.
breakdown of it on YouTube where it explains why it's effective and what's so good about it.
And when he gets the grip locked in, like it's complete, immediate blood shutdown. You know, usually you feel it slowly fading away. It was like right away.
Wow, so that dude's got a back.
Like the whole started
drive-through movie on.
The darkness started coming in like as soon as he got the grip.
Really?
Yeah.
Islam Makhachev's latest training footage has once again shocked the MMA world, and the reason is simple. The clips are not showing a fighter taking it easy, easing back, or protecting a reputation. They show a man moving with speed, balance, and total control, the same way he has looked for years. Except now the questions around him are even bigger because he is no longer just the king at 155. As of March 2026, Islam is the UFC welterweight champion after moving up and beating Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 322 in November 2025, which means every fresh training video now gets picked apart through a different lens. People are not just asking whether he looks sharp. They are asking how far this can go, how strong he really is, and whether the rest of the division is dealing with a champion who is only getting more dangerous with time. That is why the recent footage landed so hard. Dana White had said Islam was dealing with a hand injury, yet footage appeared showing him working the bag, moving cleanly, and looking far from inactive. That sparked immediate talk across MMA, with Ian Machado Gary openly questioning whether the injury was serious or whether the delay around Islam's next fight had more to do with timing than damage. Even if you ignore the noise, the bigger point remains the same. When Islam trains, he does not look like someone fading out of a hard title run. He looks like someone who treats every day like camp never really ended. That is what people keep reacting to. The pace, the snap on the shots, the feeling that there is no wasted motion at all. Some fighters look explosive in bursts, then drift. Islam looks locked in from one sequence to the next, and that is what scares people who understand fighting. They know the danger is not just power or grappling anymore. It is the efficiency. It is the calm. It is the fact that nothing he does seems rushed, yet everything gets done. Joe Rogan has been one of the loudest voices on that point, and what he keeps coming back to is not just that Islam is elite, but that he may be more dangerous than people first realized because of how complete he is. Rogan has said Islam's striking gives him a different level of danger compared to the usual Dagestani stereotype, and that is exactly why these training clips hit so hard with fans. People already knew he could suffocate world-class opponents on the ground. They already knew he could chain wrestle, ride positions, and make rounds disappear under pressure. What changed the conversation was seeing him knock out Alexander Volkanovski, seeing him hurt high-level opponents on the feet, and seeing respected voices like Rogan argue that Islam brings more weapons than the average grappling-first champion. When Rogan talks about Islam being more dangerous because of the stand-up layer, he is really talking about a nightmare matchup problem. If a fighter overreacts to the takedown, Islam can crack him. If a fighter settles into striking range, Islam can still change levels and drag him into deep water. That is why a simple training clip becomes headline material. It is not just pad work, and fans are seeing proof that the striking side is still growing, and that is a bad sign for anybody hoping his success came from one thing only. Daniel Cormier has been saying versions of this for years, and his praise matters because he has felt that room, seen those sessions, and knows what separates a very good fighter from a champion who can rule a division. Back in 2022, Cormier said the sky was the limit for Islam and went as far as saying Islam was ahead of Khabib in the striking department. That was before the welterweight move, before the second belt, and before the current wave of footage and debate. So when you look back at that now, it does not sound like hype. It sounds like an early warning. Cormier also called Islam the best fighter in the world at that weight class and said his abilities were second to none. Those are heavy words from a former two-division champion who does not hand out praise for free. What DC saw was a fighter whose base game was already hard enough to deal with, but whose evolution made him even worse to prepare for. In practical terms, that means Islam is not just drilling one specialty and calling it a day. He is refining range, timing, entries, exits, and decision-making so that the entire fight feels like it is operating on his clock. That is the kind of growth that extends careers at the top, because it depends on intelligence and routine as much as raw violence. And that routine is the real story here. Islam's training identity has never been built on gimmicks. No fake superhero branding, no endless trash talk, no obsession with looking flashy for social media. The routine people around him keep describing as hard, not layered, and built around repetition until reactions become automatic. He has trained under Javier Mendez and Khabib Nurmagomedov at American Kickboxing Academy, and that setup matters because it blends old-school discipline with high-level modern preparation. A KA has long been known for pushing fighters through serious wrestling, conditioning, and technical rounds, and Islam came into that room with a sambo base that already made him a problem. Over time, what got added was sharper striking, cleaner setups, and the ability to flow between phases without looking like he changed gears at all. The best way to understand his training style is this: he does not train like a striker adding takedowns or like a wrestler trying to survive on the feet. He trains like a complete fighter who wants every part of the exchange to lead somewhere useful. A jab can become pressure. Pressure can become a body lock. A body lock can become mat control. Then one small mistake turns into a submission. That flow is what fans keep seeing in fragments, and even fragments are enough to tell the story. Javier Mendez has added important detail to that picture. Ahead of UFC 322, Mendez warned people not to underestimate Islam's striking and said it was a whole different ballgame from what outsiders assumed. He also said he was taking unusual steps in camp to prepare for Della Maddalena, even spending more time studying footage because he viewed that matchup as a real threat. That matters because it shows how serious Islam's camps are. They are not built around ego. They are built around solving problems. If a coach with Mendez's background is adjusting his preparation to that degree, then the fighter is not just going through hard rounds for the sake of suffering. He is training with a clear target in mind. Then Islam went out, moved up to 170, and won the title. A few days later, Mendez said that performance proved Islam belonged at #1 pound for pound. So now when new training footage surfaces, fans are watching the work of a man whose own coach believes is sitting at the top of the sport. That changes the way every drill is viewed. A bag round is not just cardio. A scramble is not just another clip. It feels like a peek into the engine room of the sport's best technician. The move from lightweight to welterweight also made the routine more interesting. At 155, a huge part of the conversation around Islam was whether he was one of those massive lightweights whose size made life miserable on fight night. At 170, that angle shifts. He is no longer draining down down to rule a smaller division. He is competing in a class where the scale is less punishing, the recovery can be cleaner, and the training might allow more focus on performance rather than just management. That does not mean welterweight is easy. Far from it. Bigger frames, stronger clinches, heavier shots, harder scrambles. But what it can mean for a fighter like Islam is freedom. More room to build, more room to sharpen, and fewer questions about whether the cut is pulling anything out of the gas tank. After UFC 322, UFC coverage described him as one of the greatest lightweights ever before he moved up and became a two-division champion, and ESPN's profile reflects him now competing at 170. That is why so many people are obsessed with his current training footage. Or they are trying to read the body language of a fighter whose ceiling might have shifted the moment he stopped being tied to 155. What stands out in the footage itself is not just aggression, it is structure. Islam's sessions tend to show the same things over and over in different forms. Hand fighting, balance, level changes, pressure against the fence, quick returns to base, and a refusal to let the body come loose or lazy. There is a reason his game looks so draining to deal with. It is built on forcing tiny reactions out of opponents until they start giving away bigger ones. A lot of fighters throw combinations to land a big shot. Islam often throws or threatens in order to move people where he wants them. That is a training philosophy as much as a fight style. The best camps are not just improving technique. They are teaching fighters what each motion is for.